What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to do just a general video talking about the state of play. On Podcast Now, I want to break down a couple of the bigger things that stood out to me. We'll have a couple of videos later tonight on that channel, but I want to go a little controversial. And actually, when I tweeted it, I did not think it was all that controversial. I guess maybe I'm disconnected. I actually really like that state of play, and I thought that was one of the better ones. And I'm really not sorry about that comment. And so I know that's kind of a controversial thing. You look online, seems like most people hated it. I think it's expectations, but also honestly, because I want to throw this out as well, like I get it. I get specifically the weak PlayStation angle, and I'm not actually here to dismiss it, and I'm not here to say that that's wrong whatsoever, okay? I really think those two things are intertwined. It comes down to what I expected from the show because I wasn't expecting almost anything PlayStation. So when you do, expect it, which again, it's called a PlayStation State of Play, so you could say, all right, I'm expecting some first-party stuff. I understand, okay? I respect those that are at least willing to hear me out, okay? I'll hear you out if you hear me out, and that's really where I would stand on it. From a PlayStation angle, it was rather weak, right? Technically, the Marvel fighting game, right, at the very end, PlayStation and PC. Now, I know that's not everybody's alley. It's not even up my alley. The game looks freaking fantastic, but also I can highly respect like the angle they're taking. I mean, that's a fantastic studio. It's a fantastic looking game, and you're targeting different demographics. Like this is just a classic case of it's not up my alley. It's like if you see Fortnite and you say, "Oh, well, nobody's going to care about that one because I don't care." Well, that's not true, right? And for this Marvel fighting game, it's like I can see millions of people being now maybe those millions weren't watching the state of play, that's fine, but I think for a lot of people that game is going to freaking rock, and that game is going to be a day one purchase, and that's going to get people to get a PlayStation or play it on PC, and I think that game is going to be huge. So just kind of like levels of magnitude. Again, it's like, well, Fortnite's not up my alley, but I'm not going to say it does nothing for the industry. Of course, it's a freaking gigantic game. I think that game alone is gigantic, okay? Really, really big. And yeah, I mean, I would say because it was PlayStation and PC, that would classify. It's a little embarrassing to come out and show Ghost of Yotei to then say that we're going to show it to you actually in July, right? No, I like that idea. I like state of plays dedicated to one game. I actually always have. You could check the records for that. But yeah, it's embarrassing. There's no Wolverine. There was no God of War, so I guess God of War is on Friday at Summer Game Fest. You didn't even show Marathon, oddly enough, which is okay. It's just, kind of strange. But all right, so what did you show? Well, you showed next, like that was your big game, and you came to say that you're going to see it later. Now, Astrobot came in freaking clutch. Like, it did what Astro does. It's given us 5 more perfect levels, right? It's like, what else can you really ask from Team Asobi and Astro? So, again, I'll wrap this part up, and I want to talk about some of the other stuff that really stood out. From the PlayStation angle, was it good? No. And is that okay? Well, also, technically, no. I would agree with you there. But, like, is it what I was thinking I was going to get from the show? I wanted Wolverine. I did. And it continues to become more laughable in my head that we haven't seen it, almost 4 years after it was announced. But, I mean, I've almost, like, just relinquished, like, given up, a lot of the, the wants and the desire to see some of these things. No, I mean, look, I am looking forward to them. I think it is embarrassing that you don't show some of these games. But when I think of this state of play, and I said this yesterday, I think the state of play is going to be, I think I said 70-30, third party, first party. And I said the bigger things would be third party. And now the percentage was wrong. Technically, it was probably 90-10, even maybe 95-5, third party to first party. Okay. But I had the idea that third party was going to dominate, which it generally does at these state of plays. That's just what I was thinking. So is it acceptable? You don't have to accept it. I don't even have to accept it. I think I can say this is a better state of play that I actually liked, while also saying, yeah, the PlayStation side of it, horrendous, right? But it's like, but you know what? All right, let's get into it. They nailed it. I mean, okay, one other PlayStation thing, I guess, before. Don't forget the PlayStation Plus and catalog thing. Again, that's not going to impress everybody, but like getting those Resident Evil games on the classics, that's cool. Twisted Metal 3 and 4, like I played 1 and 2 when they did that last time. Now they're doing 3 and 4 for the show. Like that's good. You want to see that more often, definitely. Deus Ex, that's a big one. So I would say that's solid. If you could do that every couple months, that would be much appreciated, but that was pretty good. Again, levels of magnitude, not that big. Couple 100,000 people will probably care. That's okay. But when it comes to the third-party stuff, Bond, freaking loved it. That was and I'm going to do a video on Bond. Such a great trailer. Pragmata, going to do a video on that. Definitely a more interesting, like Bond, I think just freaking killed it, crushed it. Pragmata is like, okay, I'm going to give you a chance. I'm very, very excited for it. And it looks cool. It's just, okay, well, you didn't get too much, with Pragmata, but you did see its return. It's been freaking years, so it's very good to see. And it's coming out next year, hopefully. They say 2026. You want to believe them. I want to believe them. But, right, by the way, Pragmata, Bond, and then Silent Hill F. Silent Hill F got gameplay. Silent Hill F got a release date. That's gigantic. Now, one other thing I guess I should throw in. Did I ever expect this show to be as good as Summer Game Fest or the Xbox show? No. In fact, I think I said that I think this was going to be the weakest show. I still think it's going to be the weakest show. And maybe that's another thing that kind of excites me and kind of is like, I'm not going to take it too seriously. I'm not going to get too mad because it's like, well, I actually thought it was quite good. And then Summer Game Fest, I think will be even better. And then Xbox, I think is going to freaking bring it. So I feel like this week is just going to get better, just to kind of throw that in there. But Bond, Pragmata, Silent Hill F. You got some release dates there. You got some gameplay that I wasn't expecting really for either Bond or Silent Hill, or really I didn't even think Pragmata was going to be there. You got Neo 3, and I'm not the biggest, I played 1, I really liked it, but I'm not the biggest Neo fan, but that looked awesome. Final Fantasy Tactics, never played it, so kind of another case, but looks great. I know that excites. I follow a lot of kind of Square Enix, Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts creators and people on social media. I know they're excited, and that makes me excited. I'm going to probably give it a try, to be honest with you. A situation when you do that, I feel like, okay, now I can finally give it a chance because I don't really know how I would have been able to, without this. And you get a couple cool indie, under the radar, they all, honestly, even that Baby Steps game, it looks ridiculous. I'm not going to get it, but I mean, the rock climbing one, which is a little bit just sans, but also okay, I like how they're doing Death Stranding, and it's just because Death Stranding's on my mind. I'm just making a joke, but it's okay, pinpoint accuracy with walking in the one game, pinpoint accuracy with climbing, where you put your feet, where you put your hands in another game. Very realistic. But I like those realistic type where you really have to focus on your movement and stuff. And again, Death Stranding's on my mind. So, again, was it phenomenal? No. Was it amazing? No, I don't think I said those either of those two words. But I do think it was actually rock solid. I think you had the indies, and I think several of them did look pretty cool. You had the big hitters. Now, Japanese games really came in clutch. In fact, a lot of these were Japanese, which is kind of a thing going on in the gaming industry if you pay attention. Yeah, again, PlayStation support was weak, but I'm looking at this as a pretty solid show. I wanted Resident Evil. I think we're getting that Friday. And again, that doesn't, here's the thing. Resident Evil, we'll get that in 2 days. Also, we got Pragmata. So it's is it a wash? Honestly, to me, if I'm not thinking about it too hard, I think it is a wash because you'll get Resident Evil 9. It's not like we're going to see an announcement now in 6 months and they lost their chance. No, that'll probably happen in a few days. And then we got Pragmata. So it's all right, cool. Yeah, I wanted Wolverine. Again, that's a bad look. I wanted God of War. That's an odd one. I guess God of War is now at Summer Game Fest. See, I think if that happens, it's just put God of War in your own show. That would have helped it if you announced even Metroidvania. That would have been cool. That's fine. So I don't know why it's going to be planned out the way that it is, but I guess whatever, right? So yeah, I mean, they could have done more first party. And here's, I mentioned this to an individual that, I was trying to be respectful. I think he was being respectful back. The thing is, they've been bad for a while. And maybe that's another thing. Maybe I have, I'm submissive, I'm just kneeling down and kissing their feet. And honestly, I don't really think I'm like that at all if you watch my videos, but I think it's we've almost been trained to expect next to nothing. And maybe it's not that great of a show, but I think it's better than what we've gotten in the past. And maybe that's just because of the games that they show. If you're not into Silent Hill, maybe that wasn't a big deal to you, or Final Fantasy, or any of these type of games. But we've had very bad state of plays. We've had horrendous showcases. So, and PlayStation, in terms of promoting and doing this well, coming out with their first party output has been terrible this entire generation. I've said that since the beginning. I make videos all the time on that stuff. So it's okay, well, was I really expecting it to change all of a sudden? Did I think they were going to show 7 PlayStation games at their state of play? Again, I'm not saying that wouldn't have been a good decision. It would have, but I mean, they don't do it. In fact, this is kind of right in line with what they do actually do. And again, I think depending on what fandom you're in, that Marvel fighting game I actually think is bigger than a lot of other, it might go on to sell and do far better than a God of War Metroidvania game just because of the genre it's in, you know? So different games, different styles and genres for different people, you know what I mean? So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.